The chamber of the Galactic Council was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A vast circular hall stretched beyond sight, glowing with soft blue energy that shimmered like the inside of a star. Hundreds of alien representatives sat on floating platforms surrounding the center dais, their eyes, or whatever they used to see, locked on the small group of humans standing below. The air pulsed with whispers in 100 languages, translated into soft murmurs that echoed around the curved walls. At the very center, elevated on a throne of crystalline light, sat the High Arbiter. Its translucent form shimmered with internal light, and when it spoke, the sound felt like wind inside the bones. "Representatives of Earth," it declared, "you stand before the Council of Worlds, accused of violating galactic law by expanding military presence beyond your assigned borders." The human ambassador, Daniel Rourke, stood tall beneath the harsh white glow. His uniform was simple but sharp, black with the emblem of a silver circle at his chest. Behind him stood 2 aides and a silent security officer, their faces calm, unreadable. Daniel's eyes met the Arbiter's with quiet defiance. "The expansion you speak of," Daniel said evenly, "was a response to the unprovoked destruction of our outpost near Epsilon Gate. That attack killed 87 civilians. Several alien envoys hissed and clicked in protest. One, a reptilian delegate whose scales shimmered gold, leaned forward. Those humans built the outpost on restricted territory. You provoke and then cry victim." Daniel didn't flinch. "Restricted by who? A council Earth never agreed to join? You sent us maps and rules, but you never asked for our consent." The chamber rippled with noise. Even the translation systems struggled to keep up as delegates shouted over one another. The High Arbiter raised a glowing limb and silence returned.
"Humanity has been offered inclusion into the Galactic Accord for nearly a decade," it said coldly.
"Each time you refused. You deny peace yet demand justice. You cannot have both." Daniel took a breath. "Peace is not submission," he said. "We seek respect, not chains. If your council truly believes in justice, it will investigate who authorized the attack on our colony before declaring judgment." A low rumble vibrated through the floor. Alien laughter. From a corner platform, a towering being of molten metal spoke. "You dare question the council's fairness? You are infants playing at diplomacy. The Accord governs 10,000 worlds. You govern one." Daniel turned his head slightly, as if hearing something through a hidden earpiece. "One world," he repeated quietly. "But we don't need 10,000 to defend it." The words sent a chill through the chamber. Even the Arbiter hesitated before replying. "You believe your primitive fleets can stand against the might of the Galactic Council?" Daniel's voice was calm, measured. "No," he said. "I believe your fleets can't stand against ours." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted, translators crackled, lights flickered. It was as if the entire council had exploded into outrage at once. The Arbiter's light grew brighter. "Enough," it commanded. "This arrogance confirms our fears. Humanity is too dangerous, too reckless. You will surrender your military assets for supervision or face total pacification." Daniel met its gaze without blinking. "Pacification," he said slowly, "is a polite word for extermination. We've read your history. That's what you did to the Dralith and the Archon before us. You erase what you can't control." Murmurs rippled again. Some alien representatives turned to each other, clearly uneasy. Others glared in silence. The Arbiter shifted its form, light pulsing red. "The Council does not debate with savages. You have 7 standard days to comply. After that, your planet will be neutralized." Daniel stepped forward, ignoring the armed guards who shifted at the edges of the dais. "Neutralized," he said. "You think you can erase humanity in a week?" He smiled faintly, though there was no warmth in it. "That's generous. You'll need more than a century." The High Arbiter's voice rose like thunder. "Earth has sealed its fate." Daniel bowed his head slightly. "No," he said softly. "You just sealed yours." He turned, motioned to his aides, and began walking toward the exit. His steps echoed against the smooth glass floor, steady and unhurried. The alien guards did not move, though several looked uncertain, their weapons trembling in their hands. As he reached the chamber doors, he tapped a small device on his wrist. A faint blue light blinked once. Somewhere across the galaxy, systems began to activate. Codes buried deep in forgotten networks, satellites aligning silently in Earth's orbit. He didn't look back, but his voice carried through the hall. "You made one mistake," he said. "You thought we came here to beg." The doors sealed shut behind him with a sound like thunder. leaving the chamber in stunned silence. The High Arbiter turned to its fellow council members. "Initiate Operation Silent Dawn," it said. "Erase their defenses. Their arrogance will end in days." But even as the command spread across the galactic network, small disruptions began to appear in the council systems. Communication delays, data corruption, strange interference on secure frequencies. At first, the council assumed it was coincidence. Then a technician whispered that their outer listening stations, 3 of them, had gone dark within the last hour. In the corridor outside, Daniel and his team walked through the cold metallic halls of the station that orbited the twin suns of Varus Prime. The alien guards avoided their eyes, though none dared stop them. When they reached their ship, a sleek dark vessel half the size of a shuttle, Daniel paused to look back through the viewport. The council's grand spire gleamed in the starlight, its thousands of windows glowing like embers. "Do you think they believed you?" one of his aides asked quietly. Daniel smiled faintly. "They believed what they wanted to. That's why we'll win." Inside the ship, screens lit up with encrypted feeds from across human space. Fleet Command, Intelligence, and something labeled simply as Project Aegis. Daniel placed his palm on the console and a soft voice responded, "Phase 1 ready." He looked out into the void. "They think they can end us in 7 days," he said. "Let's show them what minutes can do." The ship detached from the dock, gliding into the black sea of stars. Far behind them, the Galactic Council prepared for what it thought would be a short, decisive war, a cleanup operation against a stubborn, primitive race. But deep beneath Earth's surface, in hidden facilities built in silence and secrecy, engines stirred to life. Networks unseen by any alien technology whispered to each other in coded pulses. The sky over Earth began to hum faintly, the sound of something ancient and unstoppable waking up. In the council's chamber, the High Arbiter's advisor approached, trembling. "High Arbiter," it said quietly, "we've lost contact with the observation outpost near Sol. No transmissions, no debris detected." The Arbiter's form flickered. "Impossible," it hissed. The advisor swallowed hard. "The outpost was just gone." The Arbiter turned toward the stars, its glowing eyes narrowing. "Then we begin immediately. Humanity will not survive the week." Far across the darkness, Daniel's ship entered hyperspace, streaking toward home. His reflection stared back from the cockpit window, calm and unafraid. "You don't know us," he whispered into the void. "You never did." The stars blurred and the ship vanished. The countdown to war had begun. The Galactic Council chamber pulsed with energy as the representatives of 1,000 worlds assembled once again. The floating seats formed rings that spiraled upward toward a vaulted ceiling of light, casting the entire hall in a ghostly glow. At the center of the chamber stood the Council's judgment platform, an enormous circular stage suspended by magnetic fields. The sound of shifting machinery echoed like thunder as the platform descended from the ceiling, carrying the most powerful figures in the galaxy. At the base of that great hall, the humans stood. Ambassador Leona Drake adjusted her collar, her face unreadable under the cold white light. She was younger than most expected, a diplomat barely into her 30s, her dark eyes sharp and unwavering. Around her, alien representatives whispered to one another, analyzing the human delegation like predators sizing up prey. "Representative of Earth," the High Arbiter intoned. Its body glowed faintly blue, an aura of energy that shimmered with authority. "The Council gave your world 7 standard days to surrender your military assets. Your refusal places your species in direct violation of galactic law. Do you have anything to say before we proceed?" Leona raised her head slowly. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "We have something to say." She touched a small device on her wrist and a holographic image burst to life above her, a projection of the Sol system. Every planet, every moon, every orbital station appeared in intricate detail. Gasps echoed through the chamber as red indicators flared across the system map, showing dozens of fleet formations. "This," Leona said calmly, "is what you will face if you attack Earth." The alien envoys stared in disbelief. One of them, a creature with translucent skin and glowing nerves, leaned forward. "You dare threaten the Council?" It hissed. "You are children in the void. We could burn your planet to ash before you draw your first breath of warning." Leona didn't look at it. "You misunderstand," she replied. "We're not threatening you. We're warning you." Her words fell into silence that seemed to stretch forever. The High Arbiter's form darkened, its glow flickering red. You claim to possess fleets capable of resistance, it said. Yet your species has not even achieved stable wormhole travel. You cannot match the might of the Council. Leona stepped closer to the edge of the dais. We don't need to match it, she said softly. We only need to understand it. Around the chamber, alien faces shifted, some skeptical, others uneasy. The Arbiter raised one shimmering limb. The Council will not tolerate insolence. Your world will be disciplined by the fleets of the Accord. When this meeting ends, Earth will have no sky left to defend. Leona's eyes didn't waver. Then you'd better send all of them, she said. The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted, lights flickered, and guards raised their weapons. In the middle of it all, Leona remained perfectly still, her expression calm and distant. The noise rose like a storm before the Arbiter's booming voice silenced it again. Enough, it thundered. You will regret your arrogance. Operation Dawnfire begins at once. The humans said nothing as they were escorted from the chamber. Leona only glanced once more over her shoulder, at the sea of alien faces glaring down at her. You still think you know what humanity is, she whispered under her breath. You never did. Hours later, the alien armadas emerged from hyperspace near the Sol system. Hundreds of massive ships, their hulls glowing with reactor energy, spread into formation. Commanders from dozens of species monitored the battle preparations from within their control stations. The invasion had begun. From the bridge of her ship, the alien commander Thrixa watched the blue planet grow larger on her display. Target identified, her tactical officer announced. Earth in sight. No defensive ships detected. Thrixa narrowed her eyes. No ships? She said slowly. Impossible. Where are their fleets? Scanners show minimal activity. Only atmospheric defense drones, the officer confirmed. Thrixa's claws tapped against the armrest. Perhaps they fled, she muttered. Primitive cowards. Then the radar flared. Hundreds of signatures appeared at once. The officer froze, eyes wide. Multiple contacts coming from the dark side of the moon. Cloaked vessels. Before anyone could react, the first wave of human ships emerged from the shadows. Sleek, angular craft with dark hulls that absorbed light. They moved in silence, no visible exhaust, no heat emissions. A strange stillness filled the void, followed by a burst of light as the human fleet fired. The Council Armada's forward ships vanished in an instant, ripped apart by unseen forces. Thrixa's ship shuddered as shockwaves tore through the formation. What is that? She shouted. Unknown weapon, the officer stammered. Gravitic distortion, no projectile detected. Thrixa spun toward her communications console. Send a distress call to the Council. Tell them the humans, she never finished. A ripple passed through space, bending the starlight itself. Then her ship was gone. On Earth, deep beneath the surface of the Atlantic Command Complex, General Marcus Hale watched the live feed unfold across a dozen screens. His hands rested behind his back as reports came in from every front. 38 enemy ships neutralized, his aide said. Our losses remain 0. Good, Hale said quietly. Maintain phantom signals around Mars. Let them think we have more ships than we do. The aide nodded and moved to relay orders. Hale looked at the holographic projection of the battle, the stars reflected in his eyes. They wanted a show of force, he said under his breath. We'll give them one. In orbit, the battle turned into chaos. Alien ships tried to retreat, but the human fleet moved faster, predicting their maneuvers with impossible accuracy. The Council's tactical AIs began malfunctioning as unknown viruses spread through their systems, scrambling sensors and targeting networks. Within minutes, the alien fleet's formation broke apart. Ship after ship vanished into burning debris, leaving the void littered with glowing fragments. Back in the Council chamber, the High Arbiter watched in disbelief as live transmissions streamed from the battlefield. One by one, the icons representing their fleets went dark. This cannot be, it whispered. Their weapons should not even exist. A low murmur spread among the Council members. Panic, confusion. For the first time in centuries, the Great Council felt fear. A message flickered onto the central holo display, carrying a single symbol, the silver circle of Earth. Then a voice followed, calm, clear, unmistakably human. This is Admiral Marcus Hale of Earth Command, it said. To the Galactic Council. You invaded our home expecting submission. You will find none. You predicted our defeat in days. I suggest you measure in minutes. The chamber fell silent. The delegates looked at one another in disbelief as the message ended. The Arbiter turned to its advisors, its glow dimming. "Summon the War Council," it said. "All fleets, all species. Humanity has declared war." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Hale stood on the command platform, the glow of battle still flickering across the holographic displays. His officers waited for orders, but he said nothing at first. He simply watched the stars on the screen. "They'll come again," one of his lieutenants said quietly. "With everything they have." Hale nodded. "Good," he said. "Then we won't have to look for them." In orbit, human ships drifted through the ruins of the first Council fleet. Not a single one of them bore victory colors or signals. They moved in silence, their dark hulls reflecting the distant sun. Down on Earth, people watched the sky, unaware that a war spanning thousands of worlds had just begun. Governments scrambled to coordinate as encrypted transmissions spread across every network. The words repeated in dozens of languages. Operation Shieldfall, active. Back in the Council's stronghold on Varus Prime, the High Arbiter stood before the great viewing window, its form flickering with rage and disbelief. "How?" it murmured. "How can a single species defy us?" A whisper echoed through the chamber, a voice from one of its aides. "Perhaps, High Arbiter, they were never as primitive as we thought." The Arbiter turned, eyes burning with light. "Then we will show them what the galaxy fears most," it said. "No more warnings. No more trials. We erase them completely." As the orders spread across the stars, thousands of ships prepared for war. But deep within human space, new signals were already moving. Codes, commands, and plans that no alien system could detect. Humanity had been underestimated for the last time. The countdown to the next strike had already begun, and the galaxy was about to learn what it truly meant to provoke Earth. The Galactic Council chamber was lit in red, its usual soft blue light replaced by an emergency hue that made every shadow look alive. The walls vibrated with voices, hundreds of alien representatives speaking at once, panic rippling through the assembly. The great dome above flickered with live footage from the Sol system, human fleets darting between planets, destroying Council warships with precision that defied understanding. The Council of Worlds had never seen defeat on this scale. At the center dais, the High Arbiter's crystalline body pulsed with chaotic light as it demanded silence. "Order!" it thundered, its voice shaking the entire hall. Slowly, the noise faded until the only sound was the faint hum of the holographic displays. "Explain to me," the Arbiter said, its tone cold and sharp, "how a species that has only recently left its own system could dismantle an armada of 500 ships." The Council's defense commander, a four-eyed being with scaled armor, bowed its head. "High Arbiter, the human fleet's weapons are unlike anything we've seen. They use distortions in gravity itself. They jam sensors, strike from blind zones, and vanish before our ships can react." The Arbiter's glow dimmed. "You mean to tell me they predicted our maneuvers?" The commander hesitated. "They didn't predict," it said. "They knew." A murmur of disbelief spread across the chamber. Representatives hissed and muttered, some demanding immediate retaliation, others whispering about surrender. The Arbiter's light grew brighter. "Then we will escalate. Deploy Omega Protocol. Their planet will burn before the next rotation." "High Arbiter," a voice interrupted. It was calm, measured, and deeply human. The delegates turned in surprise as a tall man stepped into the chamber, escorted by guards who seemed unsure whether to stop him. He wore no armor, only a dark uniform with a small silver emblem over his heart. His expression was quiet but unyielding. "I am Robert Kane," he said, "Earth's special envoy." The room erupted in shock. The guards raised their weapons, but the Arbiter lifted a glowing hand. "Let him speak," it said. "You enter this chamber without permission, human. Do you come to surrender?" Robert's gaze was steady. "No," he replied. "I came to offer a choice." The chamber fell silent. Even the translation systems hesitated before echoing his words. The Arbiter tilted its head, curious. "A choice?" "Yes," Robert said. "Withdraw your fleets now and end this war. Leave Earth and her colonies in peace, and we'll share the technology you've been trying to destroy." Gasps and clicks of outrage echoed across the hall. "He dares to bargain!" someone shouted. "He lies!" cried another. Robert didn't raise his voice. "You already know what we can do. You've seen your fleets fall apart in minutes. You've watched your networks collapse without a single shot fired. You think you're fighting a primitive race, but you're fighting the future you were too afraid to create." The Arbiter's glow dimmed dangerously. "You speak with arrogance," it said. "The Council does not yield to fear." Robert nodded slightly. "No," he said, "you yield to power." At that moment, the chamber lights flickered. Every holographic display blinked out, replaced by static. The Council's data systems shut down one by one, their communications severed. Alarms blared as technicians scrambled to recover control. Then a new image appeared above the dais, Earth, but it wasn't the Earth they knew. It glowed with a network of satellites and orbital stations, its surface alive with faint blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. And surrounding the planet were fleets, hundreds of human ships forming intricate geometric formations, their patterns shifting faster than any computer could track. "This," Robert said, his voice echoing through the stunned silence, "is Project Aegis. The moment your fleets entered our system, we activated it. Every signal, every command, every line of data you've sent passes through our filters. You can't even fire your weapons without our systems knowing first." The Arbiter's glow pulsed violently. "You're bluffing!" Robert's expression didn't change. "Try to prove it wrong." The Arbiter raised its hand to one of the aides. "Fire on their outer colonies," it ordered. The aide pressed commands into the console, but nothing happened. The entire interface froze. A red message appeared across the screen in every language of the Council. "Access denied." Gasps filled the chamber. The Arbiter leaned forward, voice trembling with fury. "What have you done?" Robert looked up at the swirling hologram of Earth. "We didn't start this war," he said quietly. "But we decided how it ends." Back in the Sol system, the Council's remaining fleets drifted in silence. Their engines refused to respond. Their targeting systems failed, and one by one their reactors began to power down. The human ships moved through them like shadows, silent and untouchable. In the Council chamber, chaos erupted. Some delegates demanded immediate evacuation. Others shouted for execution of the human envoy. The Arbiter raised its arms, desperate to restore order. "Stop!" it roared. "We can still control the outcome." "Activate the Omega weapon manually." One of the aides hesitated. "High Arbiter." "The coordinates." "Do it!" The aide entered the command manually, but the hologram above flickered again. A new transmission replaced the display, this time from deep within Council space. The image showed the Omega weapon, a colossal structure orbiting a dying star, its engines glowing. Then, without warning, the weapon's energy reversed course, folding in on itself. In seconds, the star exploded. The entire Council chamber went silent. Robert lowered his eyes briefly. "You built weapons to destroy planets," he said softly. "We learned to turn them back on their masters." The Arbiter's form flickered violently. "You are monsters," it hissed. "No," Robert replied. "We're survivors." Guards moved forward, but before they could reach him, Robert touched a small control on his wrist. His form shimmered, then vanished into light. The Council realized, too late, that he had never been physically present. It was only a projection. Far away aboard the human flagship, Horizon, Robert opened his eyes. The room around him glowed with the cool blue of holographic panels. "Transmission ended," his aide reported. "The Council's central command is in chaos. Their fleets are retreating." Robert nodded. "Good. Begin recovery operations. Bring our people home." The aide hesitated. "Sir, what about the Council's capital world?" Robert's gaze hardened. "Leave it for now," he said. "Let them feel what fear is." Across the galaxy, the balance of power shifted overnight. Dozens of alien civilizations that had once feared the Council began to question its authority. Some even sent envoys to Earth seeking alliances. In the Great Hall of the Council, the High Arbiter stood alone. The chamber was dark now, its lights extinguished. The walls trembled with distant explosions as riots spread through the capital. The Arbiter stared at the blank holographic screen where Earth's image had been moments before. "They were supposed to fall," it whispered. "We were supposed to teach them submission." A faint voice came from one of the shattered consoles. "High Arbiter, what are your orders?" The Arbiter's glow dimmed to a faint ember. "Prepare the Council for war," it said finally. "If the humans can bend reality, then we must destroy the idea of them." But even as the Council tried to rebuild, strange data signals appeared within their own systems. Silent programs, hidden deep in their networks, waiting. On Earth, the night sky shimmered faintly as if the stars themselves were watching. In an underground facility, Robert stood alone before a viewing screen showing the galaxy. His reflection flickered across the glass. They thought we were playing defense, he murmured. They still don't understand. We were never defending. He turned away, his voice barely above a whisper. We were testing. And far above, hidden in the void beyond known space, something ancient stirred, a shadow born from human hands awakening for the first time. The war was not ending. It was only beginning. The massive Galactic Council chamber was silent when the human fleet appeared in orbit. The chamber's air shimmered with tension as alien representatives from hundreds of worlds stared at the holoscreen, which displayed Earth's warships descending toward the neutral station. Each ship carried the mark of humanity, sleek, dark, and angular like a blade cutting through the stars. The Council's voice transmitters crackled with nervous static as whispers rose from the gathered species. Many had mocked humanity's rise only weeks ago. Now they trembled as those same humans stood before their gates, uninvited and unafraid. At the center of the chamber, Council Speaker Vorlon's gills flared with agitation. They dare bring warships to Council space? This is violation of interstellar law, he roared, yet no one spoke in agreement. Every alien could see it. The humans weren't panicking, they weren't posturing. They were calm, strategic, waiting. On the central platform, Commander Marcus Hale and Ambassador Elise Ward appeared via hologram, their images steady despite the immense pressure of 1,000 watching eyes. Marcus didn't smile, didn't blink. We came here because you predicted humanity's defeat, he said, his voice echoing through the hall. You gave us 7 days. That was your prophecy. It has been 8. Now we ask, where's your victory? A stunned silence followed. Even the Council's translators hesitated before repeating his words in a dozen languages. The screen behind them shifted, showing live feeds of the Council's own fleets burning at the edges of their territories. Ships in ruins. Command stations seized and surrendered captains declaring Earth as the new dominant force in the sector. No one had expected it. Humanity had crushed them not in days but in minutes once the first strike began. The camera feed zoomed in on Elise. You forced us to stand trial. You demanded we surrender our technology, our world, and our freedom. We refused, she said quietly, and now we stand as equals or not at all. The hook was complete. The entire chamber was now in uproar. Panic spread through the alien ranks. What they had feared, the rise of humanity, had arrived, and the humans had done it with frightening precision. The Council called for order, but the chaos wouldn't settle. Representatives screamed for explanations, accusing each other of hiding intelligence reports or betraying military data. A few demanded Earth's immediate destruction. But their voices broke when the human holograms expanded to show the arrival of a massive orbital structure, a human-built fortress in neutral space, gleaming like a new sun. Project Bastion, Marcus said simply, a defense and command station. It was built in secret around Europa. You thought we were behind in your galactic scale. We were ahead. Vorlon's voice cracked with anger. You threaten us in our own chamber. You bring war to the center of civilization. No, Elise said calmly. We bring the truth. You started this when you declared us unworthy of the stars. The chamber fell into stunned silence again. Even the most warlike races could sense the shift in balance. The humans weren't begging for acceptance anymore. They had claimed their place through fire and calculation. But beneath the calm surface of Earth's representatives, a storm brewed. Humanity's move had been desperate. They had learned of the Council's plan to launch a containment war, a campaign to keep humans isolated in their solar system forever. If Earth hadn't acted first, the species would already be enslaved. Now the humans had seized the initiative. Across the chamber, Admiral Korth of the Jurek Alliance slammed a clawed hand on the table. You cannot win against the entire Council. You are only one species. Marcus looked directly at him. We are one species, he said. But united. The translation was instant. The word united struck deep. The Council was a coalition of rivals, constantly divided by greed and politics. Humanity, on the other hand, acted as a single will, efficient, fast, coordinated. They moved like a machine. In the shadows of the chamber, unseen by most, human intelligence agents watched everything. Tiny drones recorded the alien leaders' reactions, scanning faces for fear and weakness. Every conversation, Every whisper, every order transmitted through the Council's network was already being intercepted by Earth's hidden algorithms. The humans were not just present, they were already in control. The Council tried to regain the floor. A vote was proposed to sanction Earth and expel it from all galactic trade networks. Yet before the vote could begin, the chamber lights dimmed. The main holodisplay flickered again, this time showing the ruins of a massive alien shipyard orbiting Trinix Prime. The humans had hit it within seconds of the Council's order. Marcus spoke again. "You said humanity would be defeated in days. Instead, your fleets are gone, your databanks are ours, and your defense grids answer to our codes." The silence that followed was unbearable. Elise's voice broke it gently. "You can choose to fight us, or you can choose to evolve with us, but you will never again underestimate Earth." The Council speaker turned away, shaking, unable to respond. Around the chamber, diplomats whispered. Analysts tapped their consoles, and commanders watched the holograms of their destroyed ships with disbelief. It wasn't just that humanity had won, it was how they had done it. Their tactics were impossible. Predictive AI networks, quantum-resistant codes, stealth units appearing in systems thought unreachable. All of it executed in less than an hour. The impossible had become real. But humanity knew this wasn't over. They had revealed their hand too soon, and the galaxy would not forgive humiliation. Elise turned to Marcus as the hologram flickered privately. "They'll retaliate," she said quietly. "They won't let this go." "I know," Marcus said. "That's why we already prepared for the counterstrike." "What did you do?" she asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the massive display one last time before cutting the feed. On the outer rim of the station, deep within Bastion's central core, something stirred. A new kind of system, one not even the Council's oldest civilizations could detect, began to hum with quiet power. As the Council chamber erupted in confusion and rage, a small group of humans aboard Bastion activated an encrypted link. The message was brief. Phase 2 ready. Earth secure. Awaiting command. The storm had only just begun. The humans had taken the galaxy's prophecy and shattered it. The Council had foretold humanity's defeat in days. Instead, in mere minutes, humanity had rewritten the fate of the stars. And every species watching knew that the age of human submission was over. Yet none could guess what humanity had built next. Hidden behind their calm smiles and precise words, the humans had not come just to win. They had come to rule the chaos that would follow. The Galactic Council chamber was burning with chaos when the humans walked in for the final time. The vast hall that once symbolized unity among thousands of alien worlds now trembled under the pressure of fear. Holograms flickered, delegates shouted over one another, and guards of different species aimed weapons toward the two calm humans who stood in the center of the glowing platform. Every alien eye fixed on them. Every voice demanded answers. But the humans stood silent, measured, collected, and eerily confident. For centuries, the Council had ruled through power and intimidation. Empires had risen and fallen under its decrees. But never before had a single species faced it down without trembling. Humanity's arrival had changed everything, and this final hearing would decide the fate of the galaxy itself. Ambassador Elise Ward stood still, her gaze fixed on the towering circular dais of the Council's leaders. Her uniform was simple, no armor, no insignia, just the dark navy blue of Earth's diplomatic corps. Beside her, Commander Marcus Hale's hands rested behind his back, his sharp eyes scanning every movement in the chamber. The hum of translators filled the air, whispering 100 languages at once. The Council speaker, Vorlan, finally bellowed through the noise. "Humans of Earth, you come here once more after breaking our decrees, destroying our fleets, and violating the sacred laws of peace. You have declared war upon civilization itself." Marcus didn't flinch. His voice was calm, cold and steady. "We didn't declare war," he said. "You did when you decided humanity's survival was a threat to your order." The audience erupted again. Alien voices rose in panic and anger. Some called for Earth's extermination. Others demanded a truce, but none could deny the truth. The humans had crushed the Council's fleets in minutes. The entire galaxy had watched their precision, their brutal efficiency, and their refusal to bow. Elise stepped forward. "You predicted our defeat in days," she said. "Instead, your armadas fell in less than an hour. Your networks are broken. Your own defense satellites now orbit under Earth's command. We came here not for revenge, but to give you a choice. The chamber dimmed. The human transmission system activated, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy above the floor. Blue light spread outward, each representing a star system now under human influence. The display reached across hundreds of sectors, covering what the Council once considered untouchable territory. The Council fell silent. Every being in the chamber could see what had happened. Earth had done the impossible. Elise's voice was soft but carried weight. You built your empire on fear. We built ours on survival, and survival will always win. The speaker's crest flared in anger. You think your machines, your ships, make you powerful? You cannot hold what you have taken. The Council has existed for 10,000 years. Humanity will crumble as all others before it. Marcus smiled faintly. Then you haven't studied us well. Behind them, the massive doors of the chamber opened. A human envoy entered, dozens of them, scientists, strategists, and envoys wearing Earth's insignia. They carried sealed cases and data cores, guarded by silent robotic escorts. One of them handed a small device to Elise. She placed it on the central console. This, she said, is Project Sentinel. A pulse of light spread through the room. Every alien communication device suddenly froze. The chamber's energy shields deactivated. Even the Council's main AI went silent. Panic rippled through the ranks as hundreds of representatives realized their systems were now under human control. Elise waited until the noise faded. You see, you still think in terms of fleets and guns. We moved beyond that. You predicted our defeat because you measured us by your old ways. We didn't conquer your ships. We conquered your code. Whispers turned into dread. Entire civilizations relied on the Council's shared network, the same network humans had just taken over. Verlan's voice quivered. You wouldn't dare shut down the core systems. Billions would die. Marcus's tone was flat. We don't want them to die. But we will no longer be ruled by those who think they own the stars. Silence spread again. For the first time, the Council realized they weren't facing barbarians or rebels. They were facing an intelligence unlike anything they had encountered before, pragmatic, patient, and relentless. In the far seats, alien commanders whispered urgently among themselves. If they can control the network, they control trade, food, energy, everything. Elise looked up at the thousands of eyes watching her. We are not here to destroy the galaxy. We are here to reset it. The age of fear ends today. The Council will disband. A new assembly will rise, one based on cooperation, not dominance. And Earth will lead it. Gasps spread like wildfire. Verlan's fins shook in disbelief. You cannot, he never finished. The chamber lights changed color, glowing blue, the human signal. The Council's own AI voice spoke for the first time, monotone and unyielding. Authorization accepted. Galactic administrative control transferred to Earth Command. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Elise turned to Verlan. We gave you a chance to treat us as equals. You refused. Now we will show you what equality looks like. Outside the station, the view was breathtaking. Thousands of ships hung in formation, human and alien alike. Many alien captains had already surrendered or joined Earth's fleet after seeing their governments fall. The void shimmered with the light of hundreds of human-controlled satellites forming an energy field around the Council's homeworld. For the first time in galactic history, Earth had the upper hand, but Marcus knew this victory came at a cost. When the Council's communication blackout ended, chaos would spread across the stars. Old rivalries would resurface. Civilizations once dependent on Council trade would face starvation or rebellion. Humanity had shattered an empire, and the universe would remember. As the last of the alien leaders filed out, Elise and Marcus stood alone in the vast chamber. The light from distant stars spilled through the transparent walls, casting pale shadows across the ruined floor. Do you think they'll ever forgive us? Elise asked quietly. Marcus shook his head. They don't have to. They just have to learn. He walked to the central console and activated a secure Earth link. The hologram of Earth's Prime Minister appeared, calm and smiling. Congratulations, Commander, she said. The Council's fall is complete. The new charter will be written by morning. Marcus nodded. It's done. But the galaxy won't stay quiet for long. The Prime Minister's expression softened. No, it won't, but humanity will be ready this time. You've given us our place among the stars. The transmission ended. Elise stared out into the galaxy, her reflection merging with the glowing blue field that now marked human territory. She could almost feel the pulse of the new order forming, a network of worlds connected not by conquest but by something deeper. Fear, perhaps, or respect, maybe both. In the distance, human ships began to move again, spreading out into uncharted space. The stars no longer looked distant. They looked reachable. Marcus turned to her. "It's strange," he said quietly. "They thought they were sentencing us to death. Instead, they created something they can't control." Elise smiled faintly. "The prophecy was wrong," she said. "They said humanity would be defeated in days." She looked up at the stars, eyes reflecting the vastness of their new dominion. "Instead, we crushed them in minutes. The Galactic Council was gone. The human age had begun."